Derek Carr. This was one of those, not quite like Andrew Luck. I remember exactly where I was when I saw that Andrew Luck had retired, but it was surprising. Kristen Coleman texted on Saturday morning. Joe and I stayed up in Pittsburgh on Friday night, and we went out and had breakfast Saturday morning, and Kristen texted, hey, do you want to do a video about Carr? And it's like,
man,
what happened?
I know.
What? Like
right.
what? Oh, he's retired. And of all the things on the bingo card, that was one that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a weird back and forth between him and the Saints. They clearly didn't want him this year.
Right.
But they were stuck because he had an injury.
Yep.
He had an injury guarantee. That became a full guarantee in March. They turned it into a maximum bonus so they could deal with the cap issues, because they always have cap issues and they always kick the can, and they were doing all that. But I didn't think they planned to have him this year. I didn't think they wanted to have him this year. And all he had to do was play this out, and he makes $40 million. And to his credit, he's walking away.
Yeah, seriously.
Because I started making texts. It's like, I got to figure out exactly how this went down.
Right.
Because when they did the joint announcement, Chris, okay, they came to some sort of an understanding. After all this rocky stuff between Carr and the Saints, they worked something out. He's keeping $10 million. He's already been paid in a roster bonus, and he walked away from $30 million in salary that he was going to make this year, so he doesn't have to do this surgery. Because I think, in his mind, he doesn't want to have to do it. He'll choose to do it maybe if he feels like he needs that to play with his kids or whatever, but he didn't want to have to do it and go through rehab.
It's a brutal rehab.
And then you never know what's happening after that.
Exactly right.
Because the Saints are going to cut him after this year.
Yep.
And maybe he becomes a free agent, and maybe nobody pays him significant money, and he's out anyway. And I went through all that stuff for nothing. So $30 million gone. To his credit.
Yeah.
Walked away. Could have slow played it. Checked the boxes, had the surgery, and made $30 million, and he walked away from it.
Yeah, no, it is an interesting whole chain of events and what's gone on. I mean, we went into the offseason, early part of the offseason. I know I had told you, we had said it on the show. Yeah, I had gotten inklings from people in the NFL that, the Saints want nothing to do with Derek Carr. They're going to try to figure out how to go along in their organizational history here into the future without him. But then they realized after crunching numbers and all that, they're like, no, they were stuck. They're stuck with Derek Carr. He's going to be there. Boom. Okay, so that happens. Then, okay, yeah, but he's there. This will be the last year he's there. We're going to just sit back and, okay, now the Saints are in the draft conversation for the quarterback. Number 9, will it be Shedeur Sanders? How is that going to work with Derek Carr and him, right, or any of these rookie quarterbacks? Then the news of the Derek Carr injury comes about, where, as he explains it a little bit, and what we saw on Saturday in a little statement I saw, where, he hadn't thrown a football. It was March. He wanted to test it out. He gets the football out, and he starts to realize, oh, no, that thing that was bothering me in my shoulder that just seemed banged up is serious and giving pain, and I can't throw the ball the same way. And when that all happened, first off, just like the regular timeline, I was like, what's going on? Is this a power play? What is he trying to do here to the Saints? Is it about money? Is he trying to get them not to draft a quarterback? Whatever. We were spitballing a bunch of different things. But bottom line is they draft the quarterback. We get to where we are yesterday and this weekend. And I was surprised. I wasn't expecting, just retirement. I thought he was going to give it a little fight for rehab, or maybe he could still be the starter there. I didn't realize it was that severe. I hadn't anybody tell me that to that point, so it was a little shocking to see that Saturday.
When the news first broke on a Friday in April that Derek Carr needed possible shoulder surgery, and he had an injury that no one knew about. We knew he had a concussion and a hand injury against the Giants. He fell awkwardly. That's the moment that we look to as the shoulder injury as well.
Stretched out on the sideline.
When that all came up, my thought was, like somebody's trying to blow up the Saints' plan to draft a quarterback. And, hey, everybody, they really need a quarterback, so you better cut the line in front of the Saints because they're going to be taking a quarterback. Now, they ended up with Tyler Shuck, but it just felt like part of a passive-aggressive power play between Carr and the Saints. Was Carr or someone close to Carr putting that out there to mess with the Saints and screw up their draft strategy? Because it's one thing to enter the draft with everyone thinking Derek Carr is fine. It's another thing to enter the draft with everyone thinking Derek Carr is not fine. And it just had that awkward vibe.
No, there was definitely a vibe of something's going on. What is at play here? Because, again, let's go back into history there, or into the time of I was a little bothered by, wait, you haven't even touched a football? Like, you thought maybe the shoulder was a little banged up, but we waited till late March to throw and all of a sudden figure out, oh, no, something's wrong here. So I, like you, thought, wait, is there something else going on behind the scenes, maybe a little more political as far as, saving his job there with the Saints?
So 11 seasons.
Yeah.
Still had plenty of years left if you wanted to keep playing.
Yeah.
It's odd to think that it has nothing to do with just losing his skills generally. It's just, and we talk about this from time to time, there is so much that goes into getting yourself and keeping yourself to 100%. You lived through it.
Yeah.
You fought back from having your spleen removed, for Christ's sake. You work and work and work to make yourself healthy enough so you can throw yourself into the fray where you can be injured and possibly need surgery and recovery and rehab to do it all again so you can go back out there and put yourself at risk again and lather, rinse, repeat. And for Carr, I'm not doing it. And I respect the decision. I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. And I also think that just that uncertainty of what would come next.
Yeah,
Where
right.
do I go next?
Yeah.
Where's
Am
the
I going to really
gonna
be a starter, which I doubt that would be a real
Am I going to be
thing.
one of these guys who signs in March and they draft a first rounder in April and then I get benched? Like, once I'm no longer clear-cut week 1 through week 17 starter, I'm out. That's why Joe Flacco's career is so remarkable.
Yeah, it's cool, right.
Because I think the normal human ego, when you've been paid a lot of money,
you've been the starter and
you've been the guy.
Right.
Once you feel the sun setting on that, I'm out. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Right.
I'm not the guy anymore. I'm out. So I think that's kind of what Carr's doing here, but you throw the surgery on top of it. Like, we don't know what he would have done, how much longer he would have played if he didn't have that surgery, but it was going to be, or didn't need that injury.
Degenerative labrum, right? That was how they kind of said it, which is, that could be an issue.
May never
be back. Even if he does get back, the rehab will take a long, long time, to your point. So I think you're kind of like, I think, all in the right area there. I don't know exactly either, and I haven't heard a lot here behind the scenes. I know a few things, but overall, this is a a big moment for the Saints. This is why they drafted Tyler Shuck, but more to Derek Carr and what his career was. Last year, there was some bright spots. It started out really strong. The year before, it was a year where it was like, oh, Derek Carr didn't play that good. It was like, there was people open downfield, and he got the ball out of his hands real quickly. And, of course, the year before that, it was the Raiders getting rid of him. So, to your point, and what I'm trying to get to is, you're right. I think we were at the point of the career with the injury and everything and where he is, and the Saints drafting Tyler Shuck, to where signs were pointing to, I'm no longer going to be a starting NFL quarterback anywhere else. That's not going to happen. And now, do I want to move my family around and do all of that to, like you said, be a bridge starter, which I doubt that would even happen, or just be a backup and move around that way? And I think he looked at it and went, you know what? I'm beat up. I got an issue here. I'm going to call it quits.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.